Good day. Welcome to today's webinar. Uh, Quick introduction. I'm Dan Sabinosh from Great Northern In-Store, Director of Shopper Marketing. My role is to help bring insights forward to our teams and our clients to help make our in-store display programs more robust, more insightful, all to be more successful. Very pleased to be speaking to you today about the back to school season. Obviously, one that was quite different than previous seasons. So very happy to bring forth some of the insights and statistics that we have on this past season, or as it continues to roll along, as it may be. Quick few things of introduction as people continue to log on here at the top of the hour. This webinar will be about 45 minutes. Please utilize the GoToWebinar platform in the questions section to ask any questions that you have as we go along. I'll keep my eye on it to try to answer as we go, or definitely cover anything near the end. And if I can't get to questions on the webinar, we'll definitely reach out to you to do my best. Also, at the end of the webinar later this afternoon, you'll get an email from us, or maybe first thing in the morning, just kind of thanking you. If you want any of the content, you can reply to that email. So that way, again, please take notes, but again, you don't feel like you have to scribble everything down in your notebook as you're watching this. All right. As we dive into this a little bit, first, I do, and I always love to start our presentations off with Great Northern In-Store's mission of we help our customers win by doing what others can't or won't. And definitely webinars and insights like this are one of those areas there where we definitely love to strive and connect with our key clients to think about what's really motivating the shopper, what's really working at retail, so we can design solutions that are going to be most successful. What we've done with this webinar is we've pulled a lot of information that's out there of what I kind of cull through and collect and curate, as well as we utilize our own app to audit stores. This year was a little bit tougher than other ones, but we're happy to say that we got out to 40 different audits around the country this year, all safely, obviously. Meeting retailers' needs for masks, social distancing, etc., but got a good view of what was happening out there in the retail marketplace. Hundreds of pictures. I have a lot in this deck that are thrown together, but again, we have many, many more as well. So again, don't hesitate to reach out if something piques your interest or you have a question. Can definitely dive deeper into the library of images that we were able to get from our audits this summer. So a little bit of play on words, but our class schedule will here kind of almost in a subject by subject matter. We'll talk a little bit about recent U.S. history, which has obviously made an impact. We'll have a little bit of shop class about building those structures that are going to be convenient for shoppers, some economics and the demand that shoppers have on for value, some computer science, although not really, but talking about connecting the physical and digital. Don't get worried, there's no coding here. A bit about homeschooling, and then always extracurriculars, whether that's those service projects. We saw a lot of cause marketing done, again, as we regularly see in these back to school time audits, as well as a lot of having fun, which really, again, attracts attention and commands attention from the shoppers in the store. So diving into it, 2020, different. Wow, that's an understatement. We all know what hit us at the beginning of the year, which really just blew everything up, from people needing to stay at home Kids then staying home, shopping all of a sudden becoming really a challenge because we could only really go out and get essentials, reopening up with a whole different set of rules, loads of different things happening, which just is, really back to school season hit at the, when things were opening up, but again, led to a lot of different things swirling in shoppers' mindsets as they were getting out and about. And one of those key differences was, how are their students going to attend schools? And it was very interesting. These stats changed a lot through the summer, particularly even as August 1st, there was over a quarter of school systems, or I should say quarter of school systems, and then thus parents that were didn't even know how their child was going to go back to school, which led to a lot of uncertainty. This is statistics from Burbio, who was really aggregating data from around the whole country of school systems of how they were going to bring their students back this fall. And this data is as of September 2nd. Nearly 2/3 of schools are going back remotely, 100% remotely. So definitely very different school season than past seasons, where normally that's great. Kids are going back up, we're packing them off, putting them on the bus, getting them to a building. Now 2/3 it's happening at people's homes. 1% actually weren't finalized still on September 2nd, which is probably a really scary thought. But again, 37% were having some sort of in-person. But even that, half of that split was still a hybrid model, where 18% of all school systems are having this model where, yes, they'll be in a building at some point, but not 100% of the time. Maybe it's mornings, maybe it's every other day. And it's only 19% that are going back to school in the more traditional fashion of their everyday. But as we all know, and I have kids right now that are going back in person, it's not as normal. It's still a very different experience, which we'll get into further. One of the other statistics that has been out there is really what's going to happen with spending. And I normally look at two key sources, the two key ones that are out there that do a number of surveys in the early summertime, NRF and Deloitte, who survey shoppers in mid-May to mid-June timeframe and publish their findings. And NRF was actually quite bullish. They were seeing that spending was going to be up dramatically this year, nearly 30%. Deloitte, though, had a bit of a different picture and was looking at this to be approximately flat. I'm showing both of their baselines, the yellow bars, what they had for 2019, which they're in the neighborhood of the entire pie, and then what they were projecting for 2020. So interesting to see these two, which normally trend pretty closely, seeing a bit of a divergence in what was going to happen. But that said, there was alignment on a few things. Particularly, we were going to see, and we have seen, a large increase in computer and electronic sales. NRF calling it really high, a 53% gain versus 2019, and Deloitte showing nearly 30% gain in computers and electronics, gadgets, phones, tablets, etc., all fall into that bucket. School supplies also shown going up, but one of the reasons why, and it depends where they put certain things, a lot of pieces like desks, etc., that are now going to fuel that homeschooling environment are in there. Also included are things that, even if you're going back to school, sanitizers, masks, all of that other PPE that's now required is included in that number and driving it up. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there's being more spent on pencils, Post-its, paper, pads, folders. It's some of these other items that are actually driving that school supplies number up. And then there was a divergence in clothing and accessories. And personally, I lean more towards the Deloitte number of particularly with students not necessarily going back to class, the whole need to have, oh, I got to have the shiniest fashions, look the best, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, we all want the best for our kids, and they need to, that's part of it. They're always growing and need new clothes, but you don't quite have that momentous, boom, I'm going back to school. They need some nicer clothes instead of the ones they've been knocking around all summer. And by the way, they've grown out of last spring's clothes. So just a couple of shots at retail from our audits that we saw at Staples and at Walmart around really building in PPE into planograms, end caps, whether it's loads of sanitizer right there in the back to school area. You could see even thought of after all the planning, where all of back to school in Walmart, the image on the right, typically are in shelf ready packaging that helps align the shelves and have the similar look. Not so a sanitizer. It was all about just get it there. So all critical towards that. So from all of this uncertainty, even though we know we're going to be spending and still spending, anxiety amongst parents is high. From the Deloitte study, 66% were anxious about sending their children back to school. Although I smile, I saw a social post that was like, yes, person going, I'm worried. 1 hour after day one of virtual learning, I'm ready to get them on the bus tomorrow. We all know, for those that are parents, obviously part of the challenge. But that said, remember, this survey done in late May to early June, a majority of parents very worried about what is this all going to mean for their kids' health and safety. And the other chart there on the right, again, highlighting the participants in the survey were asked, am I concerned about health? Am I concerned about finances? Because obviously there's a huge economic impact to this whole pandemic. And as you can see, health, which is the right two bubbles, high health concerns were huge. Obviously, 76% of the respondents had high concerns about health and back to school and what that's going to mean. So again, what did we see? It was all about these parents really wanting to understand from a shopping perspective, then the retailers I'm going to are safe. So you would see all of this. Here's Walmart very clearly laying out in this particular store, again, traffic patterns, one-way traffic, minimizing people in the aisle. So that way, again, you're keeping social distancing, staying safe, and they're boldly signing it with the red and green signs of which way to shop and go down aisles. Some fun ones here at Office Depot, Office Max, again, highlighting the signage there around social distancing as you enter the queue lane, and they have that taped out for where you need to stand. And even actually the store, in this case, modifying the huge, gigantic Shaq standee to also include the mask to, again, be that good example. That one made me smile. That was not part of the regular execution. But it was, again, a quite creative way of that particular store's team to, again, continue to help their customers and display good practices. The other part of trying to drive this is kits. And this is something I know we've talked about on our prior webinars for this. I think I should say this is the fifth back to school webinar that we've held. So kind of pulling back from the data, we've always espoused this is a very interesting, the idea of kits and kitting to make it easy for parents. But interestingly, in the Deloitte study, they have seen the parents that were interested in buying pre-configured kits has actually dropped from 2016 to 2019. But this year, seeing an uptick, and it's not just only for the convenience, but specifically people said it was for safety. Yes, the convenience, of not having to go to the store or make it easier in the store to get in and out for safety reasons around the pandemic. So interesting to see if that, moving forward, is this a trend that people restart to think, hey, this is an easy thing for me. I want to do this more in the future, or will we go back to the macro trend here where we see this, tailing off, which again, to me, doesn't make sense with the macro trend of people wanting to save time and make it easier on them. But interesting to see that. By the way, a shot there in the background, that's a Costco this year, highlighting, in this case, a Sharpie Elmo's Expo Papermate pack that's got it all baked into one kit that their member can grab and go with. Another part about this, we talk about safety, but it is, building on the theme of the kits, it's about ease, about making the experience at the store simple, that I can get in, find what I want, get out. In many cases, what we've seen in the verbatims of some of these studies is that they just don't want to have to be this hunt and peck, find things, particularly again in this COVID environment. It's about, I need to get what I need and move along. So, seeing that, one of the other things that we started doing with a new tool that we subscribed to this year is social listening. And we really were tracking social sentiment around back to school, back to college, shopping, retail, etc. What were we seeing? And the sentiment measures were showing actually a pretty high degree of negativity here in this, of nearly 30% of social posts that we were tracking through this, and that was primarily looking at Twitter, Facebook, in this negative bucket, which was kind of surprising to see. And we also tracked that through time, again, highlighting some of that. And, you can see some of the spikes end up with some of the, I'll say, bad news stories. The most recent ones that went nuts in September, that early September, are around a number of the college stories about going back to college and what that's meaning with the COVID outbreaks occurring at campuses. So interesting to see that spike go up there. The other interesting thing with this chart to me is understanding, particularly thinking about shopping and retail, is the volume in this case. That's what this chart is showing, not just the pie chart and percentages, but you start to see in this case, yes, there's some amount of buzz here occurring in late June, early July. We all know a lot of sets are occurring in late June, early July. Interestingly here, really the buzz that started to get this rolling was taking place June 22nd to August 5th, finally seeing a bit. But really this season, likely driven by a lot of the uncertainties of this year, was a lot more driven in the back part of this in August, versus a lot of other times you see more splits where you have those people that are starting to shop early, get ahead of things, find those early deals, starting at it. This year, the traffic was occurring a lot later, at least according to the social buzz. So all of that from in-store is, again, as I mentioned, how do we make this easy? How do we make it simpler? Target is always a master of this. A couple images of Target this year, 2020, in their sets in the seasonal area, a lot of space, very simple, very clean, easy to access, bins, cleanly marked, lit. Again, when you get into it, the bins very clearly delineated, product easy to see, not necessarily hidden and deep. And then again, using a lot of great color coding to very clearly call out the different product categories. You can see here the difference between college ruled and wide ruled, which again, unless it's very clear and simple, shopper could easily wind up picking the wrong item unless you really open it up and take a look at it. So nicely done to keep things neat and organized. And they even did a nice job, again, not knowing what was exactly happening with school, but putting together the school lunch shop where a bunch of items all there that a parent can kind of grab and go for all of these items that would go and help get their child ready for their lunches ready for them. Walmart. In this case, I really like these shelf-ready packaging for their binders, which kind of really provided a neat and organized setup for them when they're positioned on the shelf correctly, really highlighting the size, kind of calling out economy, durable, etc., making it fairly simple for the shopper to navigate again what could be a quite messy area. So nicely done to help simplify that. Walmart, again, very clearly in this case, on their merchandising trains, really did a little bit of work this year, partnering with some key brands like Expo and Sharpie. You can see on this segment of the train to create those bold billboards, highlighting key products that are definitely stand for back to school, and then as well, very clearly labeling the categories of the products that are in each dump bin on the pallets. The one thing that we saw a little bit less of in Walmart and a few of the other retailers were windows. Again, something that we'd seen a lot of in the past, and really a trend that was ever increasing to really showcase visibility, particularly in these deep dump bins. Here's an example of at Walmart this year, which did, particularly in the lower bins, which are tougher to see into, having those windows so you can see what the product is in each of those bins, particularly as it sells down. Office Depot did that very well as well. Here in their trains, again, their merchandisers very clearly with the front shelf lips being clear so you can see in and see what the product is. And then they also nicely have the product printed on the price tags on the lips as well. So it's very clear what product is where. Also nicely calling out, again, the key categories that are in the dump bins below, the highlighters, index cards, health and wellness, glue and scissors. Again, making it easy for the shopper to get around and find what they need. And it's not just the retailers. This is a multi-vendor program that was in Kroger chain, Pick and Save, that really, again, a variety of companies partnering to create this back to school palette and the locker theme that really, again, highlights and holds a number of items that gets your child ready, fills out the school lists, etc. I will say, interesting this year, we saw lots of school bus yellow. This year was yellow, yellow, yellow. Really, Walgreens had blue, but just about everybody else, Target, Staples, Office Depot, here again, this palette that's in a Kroger chain, all yellow was the key focal color. In the past, we've seen more of a split, but the needle definitely moved more towards yellow this year. Again, making it easy. Papermate. It's a simple, small side cap at Walgreens, but again, with their pens in those clear cylinders so the shopper can easily see the pens, the pen color, what it is, not having to kind of reach into this a dark, opaque bin or cylinder. There it is. You can very clearly see the pens. Also, just clearly attractive and letting the product do the selling. A few other examples here in Office Depot of a project center and also a Post-it teamwork palette that has multiple vendors again on it as well and multiple products, all about providing a solution center with a variety of products. So again, someone's coming in, if I need teamwork, collaboration, or I need it for projects, there it all is. I can go around, shop it, get what I need, move along. Nicely done to really create that look. Value. And getting back to this is the same chart we saw earlier, but financial concerns are the top two squares in this chart. So 38% of people describe financial concerns about back to school season here as they're approaching buying and figuring out how to afford all of this under these new economic circumstances driven by COVID. Interesting to me from the Deloitte study was also some of the differences seen in where people were going to shop by income. So in this case, this data is for electronics. So people buying electronics for back to school purposes. And to explain the chart, black is the overall figure. 30% are going to go online only. Merchants for electronics, and on down the line in the different channels of trade. Blue is lower income, under $50,000 a year. Orange is middle income, and yellow is higher income. And interestingly, a very different split between online and mass for income levels. So again, very interesting to think of very clearly about messaging, knowing some of these trends starting to go on of where people are shopping for their back to school products. Again, this is for electronics, but again, it starts to pull that theme together of where people are going, where's the traffic going to be in those income brackets, which probably carries over. So definitely mass is a place where you're seeing a more trend towards those lower incomes. And what is the messaging being done there, particularly to, again, convert that particular shopper? Home electronics stores, Best Buys, fairly flat through it. The interesting, little bit less shopping in club and office supply overall. But in this case, it's not necessarily the flip in high income, low income. It's interesting where middle income people are shopping, where a little bit less in club, but definitely more in office supply for their electronics. So just, again, some trends to think about as messaging goes along in terms of that value messaging in the different classes of retail trade. So pictures, what did we see? What did our audits find? Again, here's a Kroger banner all about saving when you spend. So thinking about that, spend $20, save $5. Message very clearly out there on this aisle violator. Office Depot doing a great job about, again, this table up front for a variety of products, highlighting obviously brands that you trust, but calling out prices you'll love, thinking about value, and as well in this case, curating a host of products on this wire rack that are all under $10 for those that are thinking in that mindset. So doing a good job of that. A few other examples, these are in Staples. Again, the $10 and under, here's where Staples, by the way, going to school bus yellow this year as well. In the past, they've been blue, battleship gray, and now kind of moving in with everybody else into school bus yellow. And also here, this HP really calling out full tank of savings around, again, this printer and the inks that need to fill it up. Target also does a good job of messaging, again, the $2.50 and under, priced right daily. So calling out either the sales or the everyday low pricing to really call that out and bring that to life. Target structure, by the way, again, those clear cylinders to merchandise various products, so you can see that clearly in those bins, really a nice look that really merchandises them in a unique fashion. This one is pretty cool for a variety of books at Target. Again, calling out the price points. So again, a shopper clearly gets $1, $2, $5. I love the color coding on this tray, where again, very clearly calling out the green is preschool. We got math, reading, our world, social studies, etc. So again, a nice job of doing that. Also the idea of that stadium style tray to, again, merchandise products that are more in the back to stand them up be easier to see and view, and getting more out of the display that way. So a really nice activation here at Target. A few other values. Walmart, always about value. You see the rollback messaging. You can't miss it on these dump-ins, but also all of them talked about above where they describe the products, they have get an A+ savings this school year. So again, it's the savings messages repeated home. May not be the boldest message, but it's just there repetitively to sink in. Also, again, smart budget tools, in this case in the gift cards, but these are a whole bunch, probably more for your back to college student, of various cards for spending and really managing that back to college students' budget as well. So interesting feature there, not just the gift cards, but even these finance tools. A fun one, this bus by King's Hawaiian. In this case, maybe not necessarily a great deal, but this whole sweepstakes. So you see, contests. There's a value here of I could win a $25,000 scholarship. I mean, all right, there's something there with that. Let's read more about what that means. So again, bringing value in a different way, maybe not necessarily price driven or sale, but again, this whole contest. And again, they pulled together this in this really creative, attractive, attention getting bus. And in this case, not quite the school bus yellow, using their brand orange, but still fits very nicely. And then 3M, simply, but just very elegantly, stock up and save in this case, really selling in this case, this floor stand that has a variety of value packs. So again, calling out to that shopper that's looking for value, may not necessarily be, all right, this screaming deal, at least most of the time, but again, highlighting buy more, get a value. Next area is I termed up front, computer science end of it, thinking about how digital is connected with brick and mortar, because again, we know that this is a trend that we're seeing more and more online. Now, interestingly, in this chart from Deloitte, what we're seeing here is the various retail channels. Mass is still the #1 place that shoppers are going. 81% are shopping at mass this back to school season, and 54% are going to spend most of their dollars at mass this back to school season. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that's all in the physical store, though, to be clear, but they're going to mass stores as their primary go-to. By the way, though, it's red because that's actually a bit of a decline from 2019. Online only stores, a la Amazon, actually held fairly flat. As you can see, 44% of people were going to shop at an Amazon or online only store. 12% were going to spend the majority of their back to school dollars there. Flat. Dollar chains also flat. To me, what was interesting, are some of the smaller stores down lower. Club, drug, grocery is who picked up some of the masses losses there. And a lot of that, digging into the data, was around convenience. The idea of, I'm not making all these various trips. My grocery store's got a lot of stuff. As you know, as you see, Kroger has a number of vehicles throughout their chain where they're trying to drive into that. Club stores as well. So you start to see where they're picking up some of that because of COVID and convenience. Also, on the right of the chart, we do see a lot of online return to store potential going up. Buy online, pick up in store. We know that was definitely a practice that had really leapt forward with COVID. So definitely saw that as well happening with back to school shopping. But once you got into the store, what were some of the connections? Again, we saw list holders, no doubt. Here's one at Office Depot, but they also call out in the fine print up top. If you don't find yours here, you can go online to find your list that way. So don't hesitate to do that. Office Depot, again, doing a good job here. Here's more for the the college shopper with all the moving day must-haves of getting in, shipping yourself, getting up to college. And in this case, very clearly on the side, writing wider assortment in the regular aisle or at officedepot.com. And again, not necessarily for school supplies, but I'm sure that day will be there. This is also Office Depot. Subscribe today, and that's something I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see also come into things. Why buy it all up front? Why not buy some of these supplies that take time to utilize over to subscribe away, much like even I now do for my HP printer, where it just shows up when my printer starts to run out of ink. A few other thoughts again. So bringing a few other ones in from the brand perspective, Post-it, doing a number of things, tying in with promotions, with Snapchat on the right, with Instagram, with the hashtag on the left, even QR codes to drive the connection, to learn more and connect via that way. So starting to see more and more of that occur, and it's definitely coming into back to school season as well, as 3M is trying it with Post-it. Homeschooling. So obviously this is a huge challenge for parents. Virtual school. I'll say what we saw a lot of were a variety of displays for various books. So this again in the Kroger chain around highlights with all of these books that can help keep students up to speed. Even if you're shopping in the summertime, to really get them up to speed and get them ready. Office Depot really calling it out here in the furniture area for all those accessories needed to set up that at-home experience. So really calling it out with school at home in style, really jumping on it. Another example at a different Home Depot, more in the school bus yellow theme of it. So again, all about, again, those products that are going to be helping parents have their kids have a great experience at home, whether that's furniture, desks, chairs, and the electronics and accessories that need to go along with it. But obviously we know it doesn't stop with that. There's still our pens, paper, etc. to do those projects that still must get done. I also like this one at Office Depot, all about the IT end of it, because again, half the frustration too is making sure your student can successfully get online, network rolling, all that other stuff so they can efficiently connect virtually. More books in the Costco, in Walmart. So again, a lot of these vehicles, this one a nice setup again that really enabled a bit of billboarding to call out to the shopper to attract attention. Cause efforts. I'm going to breeze through these pretty quickly as our time is ticking down already. Again, a lot of great information. So, but again, it's back to school season, and likely again, nicely in these times of all of us needing to work together, help those in need, and I think is ever applicable. Maybe they won't necessarily get the most donations this year because again, many people are economically challenged, but on the flip side is I think everybody realizes the need to help our fellow Americans through these trying times. So interestingly to see a lot of that come through, whether that's here at Michael's with just quick signs, whether that's here in grocery with a number of the box top programs that are out there clearly called out, using again a lot of messaging space, even logons to communicate Unlock Bright Futures by General Mills. More box top for educations with the school bus, and Walgreens continuing their We program with teachers. Again, as well as again Kroger with a connection with the Salvation Army of giving back to the community. Walmart as well, outside some stores having sharing and caring, and again, donations for back to school supplies. So you just saw lots of this occurring. Office Depot having their program. And even more here with Quaker as well about, again, entering sweepstakes to help your local school out. So a lot of cause marketing continues to be out there and is a huge impactor. I would not be surprised to continue to see this flow on from, again, a lot of work this year done on this. And then the final extracurricular is Too Cool for School, and it is just about fun. So in this case, interestingly, from Deloitte, they saw general upticks in parents saying their kids were going to be part of influencing the products they were going to buy, particularly electronic gadgets. By the way, blue is 2018, orange 2019, yellow 2020. So you see definitely electronic gadgets getting a lot of input from their students. School supplies, a slight uptick from particularly 2019. Computers, I would think that's a lot of the parent thinking about what's the right tech, but boy, there's a good input, which overall we're seeing 5 points increase on back to school spend. So when you go into the store, then it is about making it fun. I will laugh. The last couple of years, we actually said we were seeing a lot of the trend going to simple, flood coated, yellow, blue, simple, keep it neat, less and less school buses and things like that. Well, this year we saw buses come back. Here's a whole one in the food section with Nabisco, all the various products partnered with Minions to create this bus. Hershey's doing it as well, connecting up also with DC on a license. Fun. Even into this Walmart floor stand for beauty products and essentials, which, yeah, of course, they're needed too to look your best, but in a school bus. And this box top one had the bus and didn't stop there, but actually was LED lit so the lights would flash. Again, garnering that attention that's so critical at retail when you have this hugely busy environment, and really how do you capture that shopper. And then it is just those other pieces. Here's a couple at Office Depot, the locker accessories. Not just the locks, obviously stylish ones in the color you want, but the various other pieces to outfit the locker. The cafeteria, all the great stuff. Water bottles especially prevalent because schools, their water fountains aren't running, so and they don't want kids at them. So it's definitely bring your water bottle, critical. And then even your backpack, how do you stylize it? So having fun with that. But as well, even the activation. So this Crayola one is loads of fun of, just creating the supersized crayons and the color running right down each column of dump bins. And then also at Staples, this partnership with LL Bean, maybe more of a back to college play for the older students, but just again, using the wood, looking outdoorsy, and really having that fun of what that is and bringing LL Bean to life in another retailer. Simple one at Office Depot, just about all the fun pens, pencils, etc., erasers, again, for the younger kids, lions, dinos, unicorns. And for older kids back to college, the tech, it's, again, style that clicks for Logitech, a nice shoppable display where you can actually see the size of the product. I know, again, COVID timeframes are people wanting to touch and feel products as much. Maybe not right now, but again, at least you get the size, the scale, and can see the options, see the finish out there outside of the packaging. But again, highlighting style. Simple one, but fun, making a dump in a pencil. It's the shape of a pencil, so why not make it look like one graphically? And then Walmart, again, for back to college, creating this fun. In the past, they've done some things. I'll say they had lockers, which I kind of scratched my head on, or just very almost building-like looks. This one, I think they nailed it. Fun, intense, looking at it, that really starts to get after the products in here, that these are fun products for these students. You know, it's the electronic gadgets, headphones, etc., accessories. So make the display fun, which they did in this case. And they do it with the graphics and the dimensionality at the top. Again, the die cut header that makes it fun. So as we hit the 45-minute mark, and I apologize, I've just had a lot of fun with this one, summarizing our class notes. Experience is critical. Right now, it's a lot about safety. It's going to be that way for a while, obviously, until people get that confidence that there are therapeutics, vaccines, etc. But safety is critical. But longer term, these will always be out there, is making it easy and providing shopper solutions. Connect. It is about that connection with omni-channel, the messaging all flowing through, getting people back and forth to your messaging online, offline, brick and mortar. It all works together. Value. We talked about that, particularly now in these economic situation. It's always a concern when people are shopping for back to school. So that's critical. And then caring. It's those cause marketing activations. And then finally, you need to stand out. You need to cut through the clutter, be different, have the shopper recognize your display. It's about being fun. It's about being engaging, using shapes, fun graphics, even LED lighting to bring that all home where they're going to have fun. It's going to attract the kids to the display as well. They're a part of it. Make it all happen. So that way your product ends up in their shopping cart. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for sitting in on today's webinar. I hope you found it informative. As I mentioned, you'll get an email either later this afternoon or first thing in the morning, thanking you for attending. If you need any of the content, please respond to that and I'll get that to you. Also, if you have any other colleagues that want to watch the webinar, we are having another showing next Wednesday. And also, if you have any feedback of what could make these better, please, again, respond to the email. Always looking forward to providing the most relevant content for you. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me and provide feedback so we can always improve. Look forward to future webinars. Our next one will be in November on the health and beauty categories. And with that, again, I want to thank you very much for joining us today and have a great rest of your week.